going to heave one deep down the field. It's going to be to the goal line. It's going to be gone. It's a touchdown. And the Gators have won this.
Good evening, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to another episode of High Top Sports. I'm in the studio. I'm going to butcher the last name here. I'm in the studio with my main man, Tim Kalinowski.
Nailed it. Nailed it. Just how it sounds. Or just how it's spelled.
Yeah, I figured. I was like, typically when you see a name like that, you just kind of got to go with it and look like it looks. So what's going on, Tim? How are you, man?
I'm doing well. It's that time of year. Look, I mean, I'm all sports. I love football. Football is my bread and butter, but it's that sad time of year where you can feel college football getting to that last couple of weeks. We're in that SEC, scheduled kind of bye week this week. And then, I love bowl season. I love all that, but it's like, damn, where'd the season go? I can't believe it's already halfway through November.
100% right. I feel like we spend all year talking about it, and then once it's here, we complain about what's not going our way, and then before you know it, it's already over, and now we're sitting here kind of preparing for next year and hoping for the next 2 wins over the next 2 weeks. You're 100% right. But for the people that don't know, this is Tim Kalinowski. He's got a great channel on TikTok. I'm gonna have you plug that as well as your Instagram as well, where you do your Timmy takes. Hilarious personality. Love the energy that you bring on your channel, on your show, etc. Always, mostly from what I've seen, typically betting stuff, like you said, all sports. You're kind of always dialed into it, see what's going on. We have spoke. You are a Clemson fan, but you come dressed for the occasion. We're throwing on the old Gator polo, which I know the fans are going to love, and I love it. So I appreciate you dressing up for the occasion, even though I did not.
Yeah, I was scrambling around looking for this polo. I collect basically any sort of college polo I can get my hands on. Yes, I'm a Clemson fan, but it's kind of tough because my entire wardrobe is just orange and purple, two colors that really don't go with anything at all.
Fair enough.
So it's to mix something in like this, although this is such a boisterous shirt that it doesn't really go with anything either. So I love collecting polo. I collect like basically any sort of college apparel. I kind of gets annoying to me when I'll make on my TikToks, TCali12, that's me on TikTok. And if you see any of my TikToks, like I'll get chirped being like, "Oh, you're a Clemson fan, look at this, and now you're wearing USC this." And I'm like, dude, I am a sports fan. Anywhere I go, I want to get the garb. I want to get the apparel. I'm like salivating, just throwing Nike, Adidas, whatever. I'm like, I'm in. I want to have something from every team. I think that's cool.
No, I love that. And look, I think if for NFL, I'm like that. On baseball, I like certain unis. College, it's a little bit tough because you find a hate for some schools. There's like no shot I'd ever wear that. But look, the orange and purple's fresh. And Clemson's got a hard color scheme. Oregon Ducks, I could rock a fresh Oregon Ducks jersey, but then outside that, I hate everybody else. So
I love that because the second place for me is Oregon gear. I'm like, who has a problem with Oregon?
Nobody. They're just like everybody's best friend. Like they never really win. They don't really beat anybody. They just always look fresh on the fields, and we're like, all right, we're happy with that.
No, I totally agree with that. It is fresh. Again, another thing, doesn't really go good with anything.
That is true. Well, I got Tim on here. I wanted to have him kind of come on here, guys, and chit chat. We do our pick'ems on Wednesday with Steve, but I want to do a little parlay action again because we always do these kind of wild betting schemes, and parlays are always a good time. I see you guys in the chat with your parlays, your surgical sixes, and what's going on. Look, you can throw measly $5 to $10 and win out pretty big. So we pieced together what we feel is, a little. I put some stingers out there. There's got to be some blood drawn for you to kind of hit big. But also, like, look, if you piece this correctly, you could find yourself some W's. Then we'll talk about college football playoffs. Where do you think? I mean, again, being a Clemson fan, are you biased? Do you think they can get in? We'll get into all that, but just kind of give everyone a rundown. But let's dive right into it, boss. Give me your first parlay, kind of your thoughts behind it, and what was once you plugged it in the payout return on that?
So basically, for me, I'm pretty anti-parlay unless I kind of see it,
Sure.
Unless I'm like, okay, I can see this all, wow, that's a short spread. Let me see if that all works together. And so I try to avoid them, but I mean, I'm like anybody else. Like, how do you not? So
you could be a sucker. They'll draw you.
Yeah,
in.
Exactly. It's funny. I hit on one a couple weeks ago and I didn't even realize it hit. And I woke up the next morning and because I try and like already tell myself it lost. So then I woke up the next morning. I'm like, saw the money in my account. I was like, no way, that actually hit. So
that's what it's a lottery ticket, boys.
Exactly. So that's what we're going to try and do now. I'm looking at what I try and do is I'm sure a lot of people are the same. You got to find those tiny short spreads. So that's the first thing I do is I narrow it down to who's got anything but under 7 basically. And then you need a kind of a big money line one, a big underdog there to kind of boost the whole thing. So I'll give it to you right now. So Utah plus 140 on the money line. Like Oregon, to me, I think Oregon could be in a situation where it's kind of a dream crusher. After losing last week, Oregon knows they're good, but like
it's over.
It's a dream crush. These kids are kids. It's over. They know
the dream's over.
The dream was college football playoff. So for them, it's over. I think Utah is
and Utah's a chance to kind of make a last little statement here. That's
100% in a coach that's been with that team for a while too. So they, I think it's embedded in their culture that they're not going to fall into the trap there. And then we got kind of on the same thing, USC over UCLA, USC minus 125 on the money line. UCLA, same thing, dream crusher. You guys, you sense a trend here yet? They, look, I think it was going to be a fun story if they both were one-loss teams, but that's what you get, UCLA. I'm sorry. So that's why we're going SC there. And then Oklahoma on the money line.
Really? Over Oklahoma State?
Yeah, because I look at Oklahoma as a team that is trying to get bowl eligible. So I think that's another one of those factors you have to look at, right? Dream crusher this time of the year, dream crusher, and teams trying to get bowl eligible. I don't know. I think they kind of like Venables. Maybe it wasn't the season they expected, but if you're there and you could have left, then you might like Venables, right? It's not like he was some interim that, people are like, okay, I'm halfway out the door here. So I like the Sooners, and then we're going to go Houston on the money line as well over East Carolina because that team can score points. And anytime you're taking a dog like that, the over-under for this game, 68.5, the spread don't matter. Let's just pick the winner here.
I love it.
So that would give you, so that's going to be plus something around 1580. I see it at.
Okay. 1580. So those are your 4. You did 4 then.
Yeah, 4-teamer. I'm a 4-teamer guy.
I love it. No, I love it.
Surgical 6. I like 4.
I think 4 is probably more healthy. 6 gets dicey. Obviously, the payouts a little bit more lucrative, but I love it. I think it's a healthy 4. I had a few of these in some of my parlays. So there's like Houston, I stayed away from, but the first 3 I was all in. I love those games. I think they're great games. So I'll do mine now. You got another one, right? You got 2 queued up for us?
No, yeah, but I mean, you can go in the meantime. I want to hear because I'm torn on a few things, and if you go one way, I'll go the other, or I'll line up with you.
Okay. All right. I'll do my first one here. This one is a little bit more conservative in my opinion. The next one, I think I went out a little bit more on a ringer. The payout's a little bit bigger as well, too. So I've got the Michigan Wolverines money line. I like to get a few baselines in there. I like us to get humming. Okay. So that's where I'm going.
I feel you. It's like
you need something to give you like hope. So it's
like a first shot.
Yeah, it's a 6. You got 6 parlay, but you're throwing a few almost guarantees to make it. Again, they probably help more than they help, but it sounds good. It sounds good to the people when you said I hit 6 in a row. Then I've got the Gators money line. Look, I don't think that's going to be a good game. I know they're favored by 2 tutties, but that's going to be a good game going into Vandy, a team that feels like they're kind of a spoiler alerts. They're, you know what I mean? They're on the ruin somebody's season mentality. So. And then so maybe I did get a little dicey. I did forget about this game. So the TCU Horned Frogs and Baylor. In my opinion, this is Baylor's championship. And I don't think Baylor's a horrible team. They played some good teams and lost some close games. I think TCU is a great football team. Don't get it twisted. But when you're going into the Bears' house, and again, this is going to be their championship, it's easy to slip up, especially with a team like TCU who might be looking ahead a little bit of like we're locked in, we're dialed in. Everybody's already counting them into the playoffs. The Baylors might trick them up because they're only like 2.5 favorites. For
the record, 3. This is what I was waiting for you to say.
Okay.
This is that was exactly the game I was waiting on.
I love it. I figured as soon as I was going to say, I was like, this is probably the game that he was going back and forth on.
Yeah, that's exactly the one.
So that's my first three. And then I have, and it kills me to do this, but I've been Longhorns all year. I thought they were going to be my underdogs for the year, but obviously they've fallen short. But I think they still have a lot to get done. So I'm taking the money line over the Kansas Jayhawks, even though Kansas has shown some spark. I think they can get it done. And then I've got the Wolfpack. We were talking about that earlier over Louisville. This one's a little bit of a stretch too because Louisville's favored. Louisville has looked really good. And something that you said too in the precast, or you might have said, no, precast, where NC State's kind of like the media's favorite. And I might be falling into that trap a little bit. I think I might have bit a little too hard. And then wrapping up my sixth parlay, I've got the USC Trojans money line to obviously beat UCLA. So that's plus 1680. Now, part of, again, why, I mean, you see our spread, like you're plus 1580 for less. I obviously picked a little bit more of a heavy favorites than you did on yours. So that's why. So Tim Bucks plays out 168 on my bookie. That's who we're partnership with on the channel.
Oh, nice.
So,
well, there you go.
Yep.
That's no, I like that because when you're like, you go next, the first leg is the Baylor TCU game. So I was like, I don't know. I'm so nervous. Are my instincts correct? Because I do lean Baylor as well, especially if you're going to go parlay, because that's such a cheap, free plus money line points right there. Like that's such a huge booster.
Absolutely. It definitely brings the parlay back to a one of those lottery ticket type of plays, and I don't think it's that far off. And now we could be completely wrong, but again, that's why it's a parlay. You throw it in there to dice it up a little bit. I have it in my second parlay for the point spread. So,
there you go. No, I fully agree. So it's funny. I actually had I have TCU preseason to win the Big 12 at 14-1. So if that's not as sharp as it gets, I thought that I nailed that. I thought the Big 12 would kind of beat up on each other a little bit, and you would see a team that you wouldn't really expect. Obviously, points help. So I was like, you know what, Sonny Dykes, if I know the team's going to score points, similar to what my handicap was with, Houston, East Carolina, like if I know the team's going to score points, it's a lot easier for me to like die on that hill. So I'm awfully nervous about TCU, but funny enough, I've faded them. I think their last 5 games, so I might not even break even if they do, in fact, win the Big 12.
I feel like you don't believe that your pick's going to be right as well, too, because that early on in the season. I thought the same thing with the Big 12, that everyone looked really good, and I think, in my opinion, I think the Big 12 probably is a stronger conference than most are considering, but they're not being looked at because they've literally beat the shit out of each other. It's like the SEC, in my opinion, where some of those guys like the Arkansas and now Mississippi State and Ole Miss is starting to get beat up a little bit. They kind of just start getting their ass smacked, and it's like, oh, they're a 3-4 loss team. It's like, well, look who they went through. Like Florida, for example, it's a 4-loss team, but they went through the gauntlet. 3 of their 4 losses possibly could be end up in the college football playoffs. So they all played 100%. Against, so I think the Big 12 was better than it has been in a long time. I think from top to bottom, it was a very healthy division this year.
No, I definitely agree. And so it's been fun too. Like that's fun when they are doing what they should be doing. Like it's chaotic. It's fun. Like for all the talk we had in the preseason about, NIL and nothing pisses me off more when it's just Georgia, Bama, Ohio State, and everybody else. 1 week goes by. It's just Georgia and everybody else. And 1 week goes by. It's just Alabama, Tennessee, and everybody else. Like everyone does this every friggin' week. It's like, just watch. It'll play itself out. It always does. And we're always somehow a little bit surprised. And by the time, even when the heavy favorite, by the time Georgia's playing LSU on on championship weekend, we'll be going, man, I think LSU's got a shot. Like for all the people that said, them and everybody else, like, come on. Like it usually is. Yes, a big favorite usually ends up winning, but like, it's not always that easy, No,
and that's why you play the games
this year.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I felt like, again, everybody thought it was Georgia and Bama, and everybody else week 1, 100%, and then it kind of slowly started unfolding. But yeah, you're right. These teams have slowly trickled in. Teams have slowly trickled out. And right now, Tennessee is still a dog. And we're going to get into that, too, because I want to get your opinion even more on that. But they're kind of on the outside looking in, hoping that, and how you said it always works itself out, because you look at we're looking ahead of ourselves 2 weeks out, and we're kind of salivating because it looks like the committee is going to be stuck with a decision to be made. Right, if who's going to fill out the final 4 spots, and they're going to have to make that tough decision of that 4 and 5 team. But somehow, some way, championship weekend comes and it just figures itself out and they always scoop by and it's like, yep, that makes sense. Nobody's feelings are going to be hurt and I'm going to be pissed. I want somebody to have to make a tough decision.
Yeah, no, I agree. And, I don't know how you feel, but I initially was very against moving away from the 4-team playoff. I thought 4 was enough because I can't stand watching those 1 versus 4 matchups, like those semifinal matchups every, New Year's Day or whatever it is. We all get excited. Alabama and Washington. Remember that year? Like it's just Alabama, Michigan State. Even my Tigers when they played Oklahoma, Baker Mayfield done in the first quarter. I'm like, so now I ruined. I don't have New Year's plans because I was involved on my team, and the game was over in the first quarter. And I'm like, well, I don't have plans anymore. Like it always seemed to work itself out. And the only way I am pro making the playoff, adding more teams to playoff, is because I like the idea of having teams having home games with playoff implications. If that to me, imagine a playoff game that at
in
Florida,
Clemson,
in Clemson at Florida, like that is, I hate the neutral site games. I really cannot stand it takes away all the things we love about college football.
That is true. Yeah, I think so. It's been normal. Right, so I think we expect it to go to that, but it's 100% right. College football is about tailgating and being part of the atmosphere is the stadium. I mean obviously Kyle Field has claimed the 12th man, but I think you can obviously every stadium has their own in a sense to the 12th. I mean the Swamp is constantly says like come play us in the Swamp because they know that it's a 12th man. It's part of the team. I mean even Clemson. I mean that's the Death Valley, whichever one you want to say is the better Death Valley, right? I mean it is definitely a factor to how that team plays out. But I am a big fan of the 12 team. I as soon as it came out, I did see why some people say it affects the regular season because some games are not like when Georgia and Tennessee were playing, like that game wouldn't have as much of a highlight if we had 12 teams because Tennessee and Georgia both know that at that point they're going to make it. So where's the grind? Where's the grind to make it to the SEC championship? To have a bye week, it is what it is, right? And so at that point, I go, okay, now I understand why. But I don't know. I think because I love watching playoff style type of football, like what you just said. Typically, when the 1 through 4 and 2 and 3, it's usually the top 2 teams are the top 2 teams, anyways. But it would be nice to see kind of the lower end teams at least get just a conversation like what we just said. Just let them play, put them on the field. So I'm excited about it.
And the last thing is also too, right? So if we're going to extend the playoff, that also extends essentially helps with these guys opting out of the bowl games because the bowl games don't mean anything. So we basically get a bunch more teams that have to play one more exciting game. And for me, it's like, I get the whole bowl thing. I get it, but I have every right to say like, I would rather them play because it's more exciting. So it forces that hand a little bit. And it's like, okay, all right. Players, good for you. You pushed us. You said, hey, we're going to opt out of the bowl games. And we said, okay, we're going to give you more games that matter then. It's like, all right, that's how you do it. If they did have a union, that's how it would look. Yeah,
no, I agree. I think the bowl games have been a complete dumpster fire the last few years because it's like, again, nobody cares. Yes. So that's kind of where I was leaning toward it too because for us, maybe in Georgia versus Tennessee, that game won't be as competitive, but it's still going to be competitive regardless of if they know they're going to make the playoffs. But now this week, next week, every game is going to be huge because those 9, 10, 11, 12 teams that are on the bubble, right? It could be, you might be playing, like FSU's playing Monroe this week, but they're ranked pretty high right now. A big win against Monroe, and then if they were to beat Florida, which they're not going to, but if they were to beat Florida, that could essentially put them in the top 12 if they have 2 big wins. So now this like nobody game now has matters when before it had zero relevance at all. So I think there's pros and cons to it, but I'm excited for it. I think it's going to be great, especially for.
No, I agree.
Last year, I felt like we needed it more than ever because I felt like teams like Oklahoma State, Baylor, they were all one-loss teams that beat each other in the Pac-12. Notre Dame was a one-loss team, but obviously we saw who we saw go in. But I mean,
and we wanted to just see more of those teams, like right. We felt like the book was kind of a little left unwritten a bit with like, especially a team like Oklahoma State. Like I was like, I kind of want to see more out of them. They're a feisty team, huh? Like that's how I felt.
They kind of just got lost into the Big 12 and just like you said, beat each other up. So they never really got a chance to show the world if they were the real deal. And now that's kind of where now, unfortunately, the past has shown these teams get a chance to show the real world who they are. They get railroaded. But I think
yeah.
the extending the playoffs, getting these guys more opportunities to play in the real world and these bigger teams, everyone's going to get better from it. And I think it's going to level the playing field. It's just going to take some time.
No, I agree. I agree. I did come around to it. Look, I'm never going to say no to more meaningful football. Like, come on. Like, what am I going to do? Not watch? Like,
yeah. I need something to bet on. So let's rock and roll, boys.
Exactly.
All right. What's your next parlay?
Yeah, I'll top us off right now. So first leg, we'll go Kansas State on the money line over West Virginia. Kansas State, I think, just been a great story all year. West Virginia, the stories coming out of there is that team's pretty much quit. Like,
yeah, that was a tough one because the money line's kind of close, right? Or the spread is close, right?
I think the spread's like around 7-ish. So
yeah, I thought that was strange. I thought K-State should be favored way more. And I almost bit the bait there. But I'm like, somebody knows something that I didn't know.
I agree. But I went 6 for you here. I added 2 while we were talking. So that's
nice.
what you get. So you get ones like that. So we went K-State. Then we're going to go Washington State over Arizona. I like Arizona to come back down to earth after basically, I mean, those guys probably partied for a full week. So I like them to come back down to earth. Oregon State, just because, I think it is another team that has kind of had like a surprisingly good year. And especially with Oregon now, having their second loss, I think Oregon State could be ripe to pick off Oregon in the Civil War next week. So like, I just think that, again, kind of a team going in 2 different directions. Arizona State, they're kind of packing up, getting ready for next year. They've had enough. I'm down with the Beavers. Then we'll go Charlotte plus 130 on the money line over La Tech. Charlotte's been kind of a, working for Action Network. Charlotte's been like a darling of like our college football sharps. So I can't tell you much more other than when I see Charlotte plus money, I'm like, yeah, throw it in there.
Okay.
We'll go Minnesota minus 138 over Iowa. This poor game. I do not want to watch a second of that. That's
going to be, ruthless. Yeah.
So if you don't like Minnesota, then sure, take Iowa. And if you don't like either of them, take the under. What do I care? And then last thing, we'll go Iowa State minus 165 over Texas Tech. Iowa State, I just don't think that team really quits as bad as, they lose big games, not necessarily games against Texas Tech. So why not?
You went deep into the trenches on that one. I mean, I felt like
yeah, I did. And so that's like, I have that at plus 1695, so you can call it plus 1700
with the additionals. Okay.
Yeah, so 17-1 there.
I love that. Okay. It gave me 6-2. I appreciate that. And don't leave me out there hanging out to dry. So my next one here, it's a little dicey.
Yeah.
It's a little heavy hand here. I took some spreads here. I didn't go all money line. I took a few spreads because there was a game that I liked.
Oh, let's go.
But I didn't like the pick 'em, so I took the points there. I took the points. All right, so I took Michigan again because I felt like I needed it again. They're my baseline. Then I took the Trojans. Trojans again. I kind of kept again a baseline, and then I took a Utah State Aggies money line over. I looked
at that too.
Yeah, over San Jose State. So I think they're gonna be great this week. And then I took the Cowboys over the Sooners money line.
See, I respect that though, because that's going to inflate the whole thing.
Yeah,
I respect you going there.
Yeah, I felt like I was kind of surprised that the Sooners were favored in this. So I was like, this is to me is a no brainer. I think the Cowboys are good. I feel like they have had a few tough losses. So the other one I felt that looked good to me was the Arkansas. Give me 2.5 against Ole Miss.
Yeah.
I wanted to go money line, but I like Ole Miss. I like me some Lane Kiffin, so there's a little bit of bias there. But Arkansas showed me life last week, and I felt like if Harold Perkins wouldn't have had the game of his life, the Arkansas could have upset them in Arkansas. And it's going to be cold again. Just smells for a disaster for Ole Miss. And Arkansas looked good at the beginning of the year. They've kind of fallen off, but I think they're still a good football team to where they shouldn't just completely go away.
And you think Lane's already getting fitted for his Auburn visor or what?
I don't know, man. I would be kind of surprised if he goes to Auburn, but I know a lot of people have him going there. I'm thinking Deion's going to be the fit. But
I think the same thing. I don't think Lane's been so adamant about not leaving, and like he's comfortable there and he has a home. Like Lane has been really, really adamant about him feeling at home at Ole Miss. So, for for a guy that's been well traveled in his coaching career,
for sure,
for him to say like he feels like he has a home, like I feel like I kind of believe him, but that's usually when they leave.
Yeah, I was gonna say that the history shows that's usually a bad sign. But I agree with what you just said. He's well traveled in a sense, like he hasn't been well received in many places, and I don't feel like the upgrade to Auburn is that much greater. And you're gonna be playing. I mean, you're still gonna be playing Bama, every year, regardless of where you're at. But I understand the money's there. As money's better, it's old money in Auburn. You're able to probably the functionality to get a better team is up there. But I think he's doing a great job at Ole Miss. The guy doesn't recruit, so it's not like he's going to go to Auburn and recruit any better than what he's doing at Ole Miss. He's a portal guy. He's came out and said that admittedly. So I think you can recruit guys to Ole Miss, and like you said, he has a home. He's comfortable, and you don't have to. An 8-2 season is welcomed in Ole Miss, and you'll be loved and cherished, and a statue will be built with a 3 to 4 loss team every year, to be honest with you. I know that sounds kind of crazy, but it will be. And with the way Auburn's kind of cycling through coaches, is they seem like they're in a Florida transit where they're just like, it's on to the next one. They're in such a deep barrel that people don't understand that it's going to take time. And if I'm Lane, like, do I want to go sacrifice trying to rebuild that nonsense for what?
Yeah.
To just build a little bit better, possibly a little bit better team than Ole Miss? I don't see it.
And Auburn's favorite thing is to hate the head coach. So, like, again, for a guy that's, again, you said it, he's learned the hard way of how harsh the coaching profession can be. He finally lands at a spot where they're not.
He's appreciated.
And I think he is kind of returning the love. But again, of course, well, I'm refreshing my phone right now, waiting to be like, Lane Kiffin goes to Auburn. As we say this.
That would be amazing. As we're talking about it, clip it. And then to wrap up the 6-leg parlay, I took the Volunteers with 21.5 points. Now, there's a reason why I did this, because we're going to get into it right after this, which is the college football playoffs. They're on the outside looking in, and they need everything that they can. They have to shoot every bullet they have to say why they deserve to be in there. So they've got to they've got to roll South Carolina here. I almost wanted to take South Carolina to possibly upset them, just because South Carolina's coming off of a weird loss to Florida, which I'm sure they're not happy about. It's back in South Carolina, I can't remember. No,
I think it's at South Carolina. I could be wrong.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah, it's at South Carolina.
That's what I thought. So I was like, there's a possibility for an upset. I know it seems a little bit crazy, but I was like, Tennessee knows that our next 2 games determine on how we have to. The only control we have is how do we roll these guys and hope that something slips up in front of us. So that was my reason for picking that. That pays out plus $48.95. So $10 gets you $489.
Wow.
Yeah. Look, so there's a lot going on there, right? You've got Utah State. That's a big one. USC and Michigan. Those seem to be pretty. I mean, USC isn't a lock shoe in either, but. So you got USC, which is close, Utah State, which is close, Oklahoma State Cowboys, which is close, and then the 2 spreads, which are just kind of healthy. But those 3 in the middle there really ramp it up.
No, that's how you do it. You need to find those, and then it's like those are like the steroid boosters. They just boost the whole thing. So I think if you want to have some fun, that is the direction you look. I usually go like one of these. So I'll do. And it's always at 11:55. I'm like, okay, what are the 4 teams?
Last second picks.
The parlay's always at the end and be like, it'd be nice to hit one of these, wouldn't it?
Yeah, right. It just it's like a last little leg that comes through a little the lottery that you hit. But what I want to do is go over again the playoffs with you. So we talked about a precast a little bit, kind of your thoughts, who can get in, etc. Right now, it comes out tonight, and in less than an hour, actually. The top 4 is not going to change. I think we can say that confidently. Georgia, Ohio State, Michigan. Who's 1, 2, 3, 4? Doesn't really matter. TCU may jump Michigan, but I don't think they looked good enough against Texas, but to bump them. But either way, it doesn't really matter. I would like for TCU to jump Michigan if it were to end that way, so TCU doesn't play Georgia right away. I would like to see a TCU possibly have an opportunity to go to the championship. But then you got Tennessee at 5. Oregon's at 6 right now, but they're going to move. LSU may jump They're not. Do you think they jumped Tennessee? Do you think they moved to that 5th spot?
They really, really like LSU, the committee, and excuse me. Wow. There's my dinner right there. Oof. I'm not so sure because I do think they value, look, Tennessee, they're a one-loss team to Georgia. And to me, so what does that really tell us? What does it really tell us if LSU's ahead of Tennessee? Does that even matter?
Probably not. I mean, I think so. What it will tell us is that their respect for Tennessee has gone down. I don't think it will matter in a sense of because LSU has to win out for them to have a chance in the playoffs. Obviously, but if you put an LSU in front of Tennessee now, it could hinder Tennessee's chances of being, thrown in there depending on what happens in front of them. That's all that I'm saying.
Yeah, no, I get what you're saying. I don't think so. I think Tennessee still stays ahead of LSU. Look, this is a Tennessee team that the committee had as the number 1 team at one point. So I think that
sure.
The committee is showing their respect for LSU. The committee is opening the door for LSU to win the SEC championship and go to the playoff. But I don't think they're showing it enough that they will have them jump a one-loss Tennessee team. And again, like we say, it'll work itself out. It's either LSU completely controls their own destiny. Simple as that.
Yeah, no, that's what makes it fun too. So that my next question is then what we know right now, and based on what our parlays, I want to know who you have in your Final Four.
So I'm gonna have Georgia because I think Georgia beats.
Georgia's in no matter.
Georgia,
you think
Georgia wins no matter what? Correct. Georgia, no matter what, and they will beat LSU. So I think that knocks out LSU. I see Georgia, Tennessee.
I was like, Tennessee's gonna get the bump now. Yeah.
And then I have Ohio State. And I will tell you USC. Because I think a loss for TCU is coming.
Thank you. So I'm big on USC still. I think USC controls their destiny more than people realize. I understand people have the committee has them low, and they'll probably be 7 because I think LSU goes to 6, and then Oregon's going to drop down, and USC will go to 7. That'll be the big change.
I will say this. When I say Ohio State, it could be Michigan too. Like, who knows? I know we're making Michigan out to be like they should beat Ohio State. Ohio State, like, just the clash of styles tends to favor Michigan, is like in the sample size of the last year, and the way that we've seen Ohio State kind of struggle with those physical teams. But I think they'll figure it out. And look, Ohio State's at home. It's a tall ask to go beat Ohio State at home, and that's a game. I feel like this Ohio State team. I can't stand Ohio State, but they scream to me a team that's kind of like coasting and kind of like
they're ready for this game.
They're kind of bored, right? They're bored. They're thinking about Michigan. They're bored.
They've been thinking about Michigan since last year.
Right. And that's the vibe I kind of get from them. What's interesting, okay, and I've been on this fairly recently, so I'm not telling you anything groundbreaking here, because a lot of people that are, pay attention to this stuff, they know. UNC, man. What if UNC, I think UNC is going to beat Clemson in the ACC championship.
I was looking at them too because they're a one-loss team. And do you hate on a one-loss?
Notre Dame is a way better. They're one loss to Notre Dame, which looks a lot better of a loss than we initially thought it was when we first saw it, right?
Notre Dame's rolling now.
So you're telling me, and Drake May, who could be the Heisman winner, he's the 3rd favorite right now in the Heisman odds. Drake May, like true freshman. So this is a team that I think is about to go beat Clemson and win the ACC championship. So what do you do with, we think TCU's, you can have one loss TCU, we think. You have one loss USC, we think. And I think we're going to have a one-loss conference champion UNC.
Okay, so let's break this down. So TCU, if they lose, so they're going to be a Big 12 championship. They're the Big 12 champions, but they're going to have one loss. So yep. I think by them losing, they fall below USC and a one-loss ACC champion. So let's just make it simple.
Okay, because to me, also to that point, the late loss is going to put them out of favor too. Like losing late doesn't help your cause either.
Especially who they would lose to, because it'd be Baylor or Iowa, I think, or Iowa State. So either one of those losses plucks them to the bottom. Again, Michigan, Ohio State, either one of those, whoever loses is out. So then we've got Georgia, and we both agree that Tennessee is going to move in there. So you got Georgia, Tennessee, and then Ohio State or Michigan, one or the other. So, who do you put in? I know UNC is way below right now, but Clemson's 10. So Clemson's right behind South Carolina or Southern California in a sense. They're behind Bama. But so who do you put in? Do you put in a Pac-12 champion, a USC, or do you put in a ACC champion and let's just say North Carolina or Clemson? Either one, honestly. Either one.
I think the committee's had enough of Clemson.
Okay, you think they're so you think if Clemson wins, it's not even going to be a task, but if UNC somehow kind of just they'll make a bigger jolt because they've surprised people more. Yeah,
and that's just like it's just like eating a bigger fish. If UNC takes down Clemson, like that's a bigger win than Clemson beating UNC.
Fair enough.
Like, you know what I mean? So like that'll be like, whoa, this UNC team is for real. Whoa, like and I just think that. I think it's in the committee's interest too. I guess it's tough because at USC is the same thing, but to put a high-powered offense in, like when you're building a invitational tournament, like the team that's going to play Georgia, we want to see them have some high-flying offense.
Sure, no, absolutely, and so I'm looking at it now too with the Pac-12. The ACC championship is going to be a lot prettier than the Pac-12 championship, meaning the wins. Yeah, it's gonna. I mean, USC is gonna end up playing Oregon, probably. Is that what it looks like?
Yep.
Could be.
It hurts USC. Think about it. That the rest of the Pac-12 now is 2 losses, or the teams that could have Oregon and UCLA.
Yeah, they're competitors, and the competition has dwindled in the committee's eyes. So, look, I think what USC has, and this is where I picked USC at the beginning of the year to be in because I feel like their schedule was cake, and who doesn't love a good old West team to be in the playoffs? They haven't been relevant forever. I mean, people miss the old days of Reggie Bush and Matt Leinart. So I think that's going to help a little bit. I would love to see USC over an ACC team, especially a UNC team. I think the explosive USC team, you were saying a high octane offense against Georgia, would be way more exciting than any ACC team to go in there right now, in my opinion. I think because you just don't know what to expect from those guys. I don't think it's going to be close, but it would be way more exciting to watch. Look, I think it'd be more exciting to watch than TCU, to be honest with you. But TCU looked good against Texas.
But they didn't win like TCU, which I know it's. If I was Sonny Dykes, I'd be saying to my team, "Look, guys, we've proved we can win a number of different ways. We can win a shootout. We can win in a rock fight. Look at our team. We've shown that we can win a number of different ways." But if I'm the committee and I'm building a tournament, I'm like, yeah, TCU, you'd have to be doing the whole blow the doors off everybody thing because we're picking a team to play Georgia and we're picking TV ratings. Like you gotta be sexy. And that is certainly USC. And that's why I think you're pretty spot on about that. My only argument is that if we think of USC the way we do, like UNC's not far off from that type of like team. They just don't have a coach named Lincoln Riley.
They're not as sexy. Yeah, it's not.
Right.
100%. So look, unfortunately, these guys are going to get away with it. Like we said, it's going to work itself out. Yeah. It somehow always is. I think honestly, to work itself out, best case scenario for them would be Georgia rolls, TCU wins, Ohio State, Michigan. They figure each other out, and then it's Tennessee. So it's going to be Tennessee, TCU, Georgia, and then the winner of the Ohio State, Michigan game, in my opinion.
No, I agree. My biggest thing is I like to, because this argument is tough because like we just said, we always end with it'll work itself out. I think we're bright in saying that, but I also like you having something to say that no one else thought of. Like I like being the guy that's be like, hey, take a look at North Carolina. I don't think, and then being like, whoa, okay. Like take a look at this North Carolina team. That's like the fun part, I think, is that like, what if they blow the doors off Clemson? Now what are we going to do?
That's what I love. I would love for that to happen because that's when, it gets dicey. It makes them have to make a tough decision. And again, best case scenario, TCU loses, Georgia rolls LSU. Maybe Tennessee gets upset this weekend against Arkansas. That would really just blow the doors wide open. That would make it a little bit too easy, I think, because then you got USC and North Carolina almost a shoe-in. So Tennessee needs to stay undefeated. But, yeah, UNC kind of coming out of nowhere, just quietly getting it done. And it's because it's not sexy and it's not loud that they're not up there. And they're not – because how Clemson is still favored in the top 10, Clemson hasn't looked good against anybody, yet they're still a top 10 favorite team. And UNC's look good outside their loss to Notre Dame, has looked really good. It's just, again, they're not sexy. It's not the name. It's not the brand. So if it was in basketball, it would be the complete opposite. They would be ranked fifth. They would be the Tennessee of where in football, right? It would be the complete opposite. So, but again, if it is basketball, Tennessee would be where North Carolina is with the one-loss team. So it's funny how all of it works, how the branding of ACC versus SEC works.
And I'm part of the problem. Like, I'm all in. I want to see like the brands. That's how I feel. Like I'm not a UNC fan, so I don't care. Like if I was, I'd be like, shut up, that's my team, you know, but I want to see the brand. I want to see, you know, Ohio State, USC, Tennessee, Georgia. What a celebration, like, for our sport to have the brands like that that are also like fun to watch. You know, it doesn't feel like a charity.
Yeah, it's like when people get frustrated when Tom and the Patriots were winning every year and going to the Super Bowl, and everyone was pissed. And the one year we didn't have them, they were pissed. It's like, yeah, you need somebody like that there. You need a team that everybody hates, that's consistent. You need the Bamas of the world to exist, because if not, you're gonna sit there and be like, well, shit, now that it's UNC versus TCU, like, this kind of sucks. Like, we all talked about it.
I agree.
We thought it would be cool, and now that it's here, it's like, I regret what I said.
You're gonna have to learn about Drake May for a month.
Exactly.
Like, okay, I've had enough. Like, because ESPN's gonna have to tell you all about him, and you're gonna be like, okay, I get it now. And then all for Georgia to, you know, just play like all night long. Like that's all it's gonna be.
You need a consistency there, and you need a face that you recognize that you either love to death or you hate to death. And if you put two faces that you don't know, there's no blood. And now where's the excitement? What are you cheering for? And that's kind of like what happens with, look, March Madness is at its peak the first week, because when it gets to the end, once you have so many dogs, and once all those dogs are gone, typically the way it works is like, I don't give two shits about any of these teams anymore.
No, that's how I feel. 100%. I'm like, that was
my
fun
bracket's busted.
Like,
my bracket's shot. It's not even close. I could give two shits if it's Houston and who. I don't care. But that's where I think college football.
I agree more.
Yeah, college football has it dialed in. Real quick, man, I got the chat gets buck wild, and I've been neglecting them tonight. So let me say hey to them. Let's see if they've got any questions. I shaved my face, not on purpose. The barber jacked me up, and they're roasting me a little bit.
I thought I saw something way different. Yeah, like I did not recognize you when I got on.
You and me both, Bubba. You and me both. Dominic $2 says, "Sean, what happened to your face? How dare you?" Dude, I'm pissed, bro. I got my haircut too. I got like a mullet, and it's not what I wanted, so I'm pretty pissed about it too. It was a rough day for the boy in the from here up department. And we got two.
So is it your normal like barber, and he just like messed you up, or what?
So it's the same place that I go to, but the guy, like, there's like 4 of them in there, and I usually trust all of them. But the guy that did it, I was unhappy. He could tell too. I was like, it looks like shit, dude. Like he just kind of like 90-0. I was like, yo, this is ridiculous. But thankfully it grows back. That's tough. Hopefully. I'm getting old, so we'll see. We got 2 super chats from Tim Lombardi. What's up, Tim? Miss you, man. $20 each, my man. Appreciate you. He goes, this is to mourn the loss of the muscle stash rip. It's still there. It's just really light. Like, I didn't shave my face. It's just, he like thinned it out. And I'm like, bro, like, I can't afford for it to be thinned out. It's already thin as it is.
I had a mean mustache my senior year of college, and now I live back at home, and my mom's like, no mustache. You're not in this house. And I'm like, come on, please.
Was it thick?
Because it was just, yeah. Oh yeah. And it's like, it's like brownish. It looks, I loved it. I like it. It's your color. It's like that, but it's like a little
dirty
more
blonde.
brown than like, yeah. And I loved it. My mom said, yeah, like, and every time, like, I'm telling you, barely like don't shave. And my mom's like, are you going to mustache again? And I'm like, yeah,
I went to bed.
How'd you notice that? Yeah, I'm like, how'd you notice that?
I did the Top Gun stash for a little bit, and I dyed it like jet black and shit. That was a good time. But look, thankfully it grows back. But like he hit me. I don't know. He trimmed it underneath here, and then on top, I'm like, yo, what's this guy doing, bro? Like it was ruthless. Like it happened so quick too. Like I was blinking, and it was already done. It is what it is. Like I took it on the chin and move on. So thankfully I'm married and just had a kid. So neither of them care.
Congratulations! There you go. Yeah. You're big time. Don't care. Wow.
Yeah, I'm full send, not giving a shit. So
yeah, that is major don't care. Wow. Yeah. Like I just have like a girlfriend who is supportive of my mustache. And I'm like, I don't care. As I said, my mom, she's like, you're so handsome without it. I'm like, I have a girlfriend. She's like, she can leave at any time.
Those are moms, bro. My mom doesn't. She's not a big fan of the stash either. They're a little old fashioned, like a clean shaven old guy. So.
What should a guy that talks about gambling for a living look like? I mean,
how about you need to have a dirty mustache? 100%. I think the brand would just explode if you had a mustache. Tell her, say, Mom, we have 1 week with the stash. Let's compare stats. If it's through the roof, the stash stays. I mean, a gambling guy puts the stash on the table. Yep. Go all in.
She doesn't care about any of the numbers. She said she does not care. I'm like, well, that's no fun. We can't even put it on the line. Like she's like, no, I don't want to play. I'm like, that's fun.
Where did it come from then? Where did the addiction come from? Just college, Dad?
Yeah, I just senior in. I was just senior in college. If I had one chance to do it, one opportunity to do it, like that was when I was doing it.
Okay.
You're talking about my stash?
No, your gambling addiction.
Oh, my gambling. Oh, I thought you meant my mustache. Oh no.
Sorry.
I was so I play hockey. I played hockey and I was a freshman and made the varsity team, not a big deal. And so I'm freshman on the team and I'm seeing all the time guys come into practice and like hand someone on our team, like, an envelope. And I'm like, what the hell does everyone keep doing that for? They're like, oh, he's our bookie. I'm like, what the hell does that mean? What do you mean he's your bookie? He's this kid on the team. And they're like, yeah, I had Broncos +6 or whatever, so I owe him money. I'm like, wait a minute. And I'm like, so you're telling me you just pick the game and then you win, he wins, gives you money, vice versa? And they're like, no, kid, there's a point spread. It ain't that easy. And so from then on, I have been a gambler. It was from basically that moment on.
I love that. That's such a cool story of you just getting it done in the back alley at an ice rink.
I remember
no better origin.
I'm like, what is this? And they're like, oh no, I got the, I Denver, whatever, got it wrong. I'm like, I could pick these games. You guys are morons. Yeah, sure enough.
So is your record pretty solid this year then? Outside of fading TCU?
Yeah, so the thing is, I am a way better NFL bettor than I am college football, but I love college football, love to its core. And I have to bet the full slate because that's why I love college football, game after game after game. I'm a way better NFL bettor because I can sit there with just 4 bets for the entire day and chill out, and just watch Red Zone and be hungover,
Sure. No, I agree with you. I think I'm better at NFL too because it's a little more, to me, in my opinion, it's more stable. It makes sense. There is you could bet on the other week when Oklahoma State lost to Kansas State, I think it was 49-0. Where does that come from? How do you even bet on a game like that? It's just out of left field. One 100%. Team that has been consistent in my opinion this year are the Gators on their spreads. I mean, they have been either a half point right or a half point wrong. So they've been spot on. Yeah. But college football is just so wishy-washy to bet on it. It is nearly impossible to get it right. NFL definitely has a little more consistency, and you can kind of get a little bit of a roll for sure.
And NFL favorites of 3, lose by 4. NFL favorites of 3 win by 4. It's, favorites of 7, win by 6 in the NFL. In college football, favorites of 3 win by 43. And you're like, what the hell just happened?
Yeah, where'd that spread come from?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, because everyone's asking, and we'll kind of go too with Florida. The spread's 14.5, depending on who you're using. Who do you take this week with Florida versus Vandy? At Vandy.
So the thing is, I love the idea that Vandy just beat Kentucky. And so if I'm a Florida fan, like I feel way better because I like the whole idea of like coming off the high mark of your season, the biggest game of your season. And then I was looking, I was like, is Vandy gonna like make a big push here? Like, could they be bowl eligible? Then I'm like, oh yeah, no, they end against Tennessee too. So like
Oh yeah,
they
no.
they will they will not be getting bowl eligible. And I think the way to get at Florida, I don't mind 14, but I think you look at their team totals if you really need to get at Florida. Like that's how I always try and get at Clemson. I know that I know their defense will show up or I know their offense sucks. So I'll either fade their team total or, on the other side of things. So I think that's very important to look at when you're trying to look at your own team is your team totals.
Okay, that's fair to kind of take the emotion out of it. I think it's like I said, we talk about it tomorrow on the show with my buddy, my Steve co-host. But it's going to be tight only because I think Kentucky, I've been preaching Kentucky isn't that great of a football team. Even after they beat us, I came on here the day after and was like, Kentucky is not a good football team. And it's not me being like roasting anybody. Florida just looked like dog shit. Florida should have won that football game. And I was kind of glad Kentucky lost. I was like, look, I've been preaching this since the beginning. They just don't look good. I think Will Levis is pretty solid. He kind of kept that team together as much as he possibly could. But just they weren't fundamentally sound in my opinion. So yeah, I think Florida, honestly, from how they looked the last 2 weeks, shouldn't have any issues. But them getting that W last week, kind of think it's not going to just be your typical Vandy Florida game. That's what I do know that.
And it always feels good too when like you have a good quarterback and you have a spread like that. It's like, okay, I could see this actually happening. My team doesn't have a good quarterback, so when they're a double-digit favorite, it's like, no, thank you.
Yeah, that's true because like DJ has not been the guy at all, and it's like who's going to score these points that you're speaking of?
Yep, 100%. No, it's that's how I feel. It's been a nightmare. It's been brutal. Like there's few things more frustrating than watching your team have poor quarterback play. Like that's pretty damn frustrating, especially in 2022, where it's pretty hard to look that bad at quarterback. The rules are pretty friendly to quarterbacks.
Yeah, for sure. Because again, like if that position, like you said, it's hard to watch because nothing gets going. And if everyone knows that position sucks, it's very easy it's like you're just trying to exist as long as you can. You're never on the offense. You're always playing reactive and defensively because it's flat-footed back there.
And you never get a play made that shouldn't have been made. Like you never get like those Bryce Young plays where he's like standing there. He creates and he spins it's like, yeah, that is why that guy is the magic eraser. You're like, my team is no magic eraser. It's like, unless it was designed for that guy to be wide ass open, it ain't happening.
That's it. Yeah, dude, that's a perfect example of Bryce Young, dude. Just keeping things alive. It's exhausting to watch, but it's fun to watch. But if you're on the opposing side, it's deflating.
Yeah, that's why he has 5 stars next to his name, okay? Because he does stuff like that, right? DJ has 5 stars next to his name, and they whiffed. Something went wrong in the evaluation.
I came out with a video just the other day about Harold Perkins Jr. because he was 5-star. Florida was close to getting him. Obviously, we didn't. We whiffed on him. And now we're seeing what he's doing at LSU. And I made a video of like, hey, this is why 5 stars are important. But you do have the one guys. I think quarterbacks are more whiffs on 5 stars than typically like a linebacker situation. In my opinion, I think the stars weigh more heavily on quarterbacks because they have to have so much. They impact so much. They have to be able to come in and do so much so quickly. The pressure is way more on them than it is on a linebacker or any other position, in my opinion. O-line, D-line, but yeah, those guys I feel like get a bit way harder with than a linebacker. But you have either they're really important or like you said, you go all in and they're supposed to be your Lord and Savior, and it's like, what are we doing here? And now you're spending too much time on them. When if it was a 3-star guy, you already moved on.
Yep, 100%. And it's amazing for a guy to be a 5-star so highly touted. And the thing that is when you look at DJ, the thing is the game looks like it's way too fast for him. And it's like, dude, you played at some high level high school football. Like this shouldn't be that it's a big jump, sure. But there's guys that come from, division whatever, and we're like, how is he going to adjust to the
like
how
Arch
fast
Manning.
the game is at this?
What's he?
Exactly. Like guys like that play at say lower A division whatever in high school, and it's like the game shouldn't look that fast for him. For a guy that went to modern day big time high school.
Like an IMG type of thing, and down in
Yes,
Florida.
exactly. Like you're used to playing with stars, man. Like I don't get it.
Don't look completely surprised like you don't know what you're doing out here.
Yes,
Especially your second year. I mean, I feel like at this point he should be a little bit more locked in at this point.
It's it's clearly like a confidence thing. Like you can just see it in his eyes that he knows like he messed up, and he knows like things are going to continue to go wrong. Like he just doesn't. He has some guys have the look of Tom Brady killer. Some guys have the look like, dude, deer in the headlights. Deer in the headlights.
Yeah, and I think that's something we talked about with Anthony early on in the year a few times. He had that deer in the headlights look, and that's what we were kind of like, yo, like this. He's got the stature, he's a physical freak, but he doesn't look like he knows what the hell's going on out there. But recently, his passes have been missing, but he looks more confident, more collected, and he looks more dialed in. And that's why, again, everyone has him projected to go to the NFL. And these guys are obviously big Gator fans in the chat. What are your thoughts on AR? Do you think he stays or goes?
So you know what? I have a hard time because I'm not totally impressed with him as an NFL prospect. And I don't know why, like maybe because I've just seen him struggle throwing the ball in, bigger games, I guess, but I don't know. Tell me I'm wrong as a guy that watches a lot of Florida, because to me with like the hype of him as how highly people are talking about him as a quarterback prospect, part of me is like, I don't fully see is he just very raw, like, his ability to, obviously his ability to extend plays and stuff like that, but his pure arm, just picking somebody on a, down and in, have to have it, 3rd and 5, boom, rope right on your hands where there's no room to throw the ball.
Well, it's a rope. It's not necessarily a rope. It's on a piss missile, 100 miles an hour with no touch to it. Yeah, look, I'm a little confused too. There's a lot of hype behind him going there, and I think what I keep saying is the upside is what people are bought in on because of how big he is. Like when he's in the pocket, it is hard to take him down. Like like he looks so calm and collected. It's like, how are you not completing every pass that you throw? There's a part that we always can't see too. Is like, hey, what's happening down the field? Are the wide receivers not running the best routes? And he has to always make something happen. And the NFL scouts can see that. And it's like, look, all we got to do is just give him like a Tyreek Hill or a Kadarius Toney, and if he can get it to that guy, and that guy will do the rest. But he keeps the play alive. Patrick Mahomes is great at doing that. Lamar Jackson, those guys are great at keeping the play alive. Great quarterbacks as well too. But keep the play alive, get it to a talented wide receiver or a tight end, and let that guy do the rest of the work. I think that's what they're seeing in him, right? I don't need you to come out and throw the ball 150 yards. That doesn't show to be successful as much anymore. Now, those guys can do that, and he can do that too. And maybe they feel, hey, like the mechanics are there, this is there, that's there. We can fix that. The other stuff that he has, you can't fix or develop. It's just you're born with it. And I think that's why he's such a high commodity at a young age. But again, anybody does get them. Go ahead.
Yeah, my bad. So what I think is, so it comes down to this, is since he is a guy that, has that, rocket, it's going to be an absolute seed. He's going to be someone that's like on a trajectory of a Josh Allen or like a Jalen Hurts, like just such a raw, gifted athlete, extend plays. But with Allen's progression, he progressed for, those 3 years in the NFL where he was night and day. Same thing with Hurts. He just saw that, ridiculous jump in his accuracy, his pure passing ability. So do you trust that happening at Florida, that development over the next year? Or are you like, you know what, I'm just going to go to the NFL because I trust that to be developed for me in the next couple of years at the NFL? Because I'm saying whatever doctor figured that out with Allen and Jalen Hurts, they need to bring it to Jacksonville for my guy Trevor Lawrence, because he's kind of in the same boat there. He needs that thing injected into him where it's like, oh, that major jump where the talent's all like reined in now, and we're putting him in situations where he can absolutely use that talent to the best of his ability.
Just take over. Now, are you asking me in a sense of like, if I'm Anthony, what do I do?
Yeah, I'm saying Anthony has to consider that. Like, and maybe what you think, if you're confident in Florida's ability to develop that, if you're like, or if you're part of you knows like, hey, Anthony, like you're better off finding that on the NFL.
Look, I think I'm confident in him able to find it in the NFL. What I talked about just a few days ago was, look, if you go back, if you stay, and for some reason it doesn't develop, and if you don't get any better, your value is going to go down. So you can't say the same or get worse because the value is going to go down. Right now, the what if is creating you more value. If you stay another year, the what if goes away a little bit because now, okay, you've had a whole another year under Billy. Now, are they going to blame Billy and not being able to develop him? Or are they going to say, or does he lose his job because Billy's like, it's not me, it's you? So I think that's the part of me is like, do you take the risks to stay another year? I think he should stay another year. Now, that's part of me being biased because I think he'll be great. It'll help him. But I was going to say Justin Fields is another one who seemed to find his stride this year too, of really kind of finding himself. Of look, he had all the talent, everything that needed to get done, but now he's really starting to find himself and into the. I think Trevor's getting there week by week. I think the last few weeks the defense have lost the games more than Trevor has lost it. But Trevor, here's my concern when Jacksonville drafted Trevor. Trevor is a winner in a sense that he never lost. But he's not a winner in a sense of like a Tebow winner, where you go out there and you grind it out, and you're just like just a purebred killer. He's not an MJ. He's not gonna. And he's like I'm not like it is what it is. Like he's not a Joey Burrow by any stretch. When they played against one another, I was all in on Joey B. I remember talking with my buddies. I'm like, Joey B is a night and day better quarterback than Trevor Lawrence. Like no way. I'm like, bro, you can't even hold a light to the guy. This was obviously before Joey B is what he is now, but. Joey B's a killer. He's gone through adversity. Trevor has never had to face it. And now he's facing it, and it's not like he's handling it poorly, but he's not flipping on a switch to get better. It's like, I'm just going to keep doing what I've always been doing, and eventually it'll work itself out. Unfortunately, there's a timeline that I think is going to run out eventually, and he's going to either, I don't know, lose his job, but we're going to be disappointed, I think, in Jacksonville.
Know who he is, yeah. Yeah, it's like, I'm just going to have long hair and be in Gatorade commercials because I can't. I think you summed it up pretty well, and that's how I feel. He just makes one or two plays every so often that you're like, oh man, that's not a first overall pick play.
His pick, he threw a pick this past weekend, didn't he? Around the driving play, I think it was against the Raiders, right? No.
Oh no, that was
week before,
2 weeks ago.
2 weeks ago,
yeah, and then. So they played KC last week. Once I had Jacksonville plus the points, and once KC went up double digits, I said, "That's it, no more of that game. Turn that one off." So
moving on.
Yep. Yeah, moving on now because you know what? I think you said it well because I don't trust Trevor's ability to be like, we're down 10, not my team. We're not losing. Like, come on, I'm going to Arrowhead. I'm going to go toe to toe with Mahomes. He's kind of just like, yeah, we got better this year.
Exactly. And look, when he got drafted, I was like, I know everybody's pumped about him. It's a generational talent. He looks really good. But I was like, there is a factor of the mindset of like, hey, and that's what Jalen Hurts, in my opinion, has really catapulted himself. It's like, that guy's a grinder. As much as I think I've been a hater on Philly and that entire just kind of organization and what they've been able to do. And I don't even touch Jalen in the fantasy football draft because I'm not 100% bought in on him yet, but he's a winner.
And I that sucks for me. I did the same thing, and I'm like, yeah, probably should have bought in on that win.
Yeah, it is what it is. You live and you learn, but it's something that look. I think he has what Trevor is lacking, and that's like I don't know how you teach that. You don't teach that. What are you going to teach? Like,
no,
hey man, you need to care more for what? You trade half the people. It's tough.
And being wired like that probably got him very, very far until. Like now it's like we separate great from good, like that probably helped him a long way. That kind of nonchalant, California kid, even though he's not, but that's the way he looks and his attitude seems to be.
Yeah, no, I think there is a strong component in a sense of like, look, he doesn't get too high or too low, which is right. A great leadership skill. But you have to be able to turn it on a little bit or have somebody on the team that can turn it on to kind of bring everybody up. But who's on that offense that's going to do that right now? Everybody is young and new and trying to figure it out and not in the place to step it up. I mean, Travis Etienne's not going to step up. I mean, he's the running back. Right. Derrick Henry, who's somebody who can carry a team, but Travis isn't there yet, right? So the defensive side of things, it's kind of more of a cohesive unit than an individual player. You don't have like a Aaron Donald or Von Miller that's kind of like the center point of it. So Trevor's got to step up. He's got to step up and be like, I'm that guy. I've got to be better. Like just the other day, Derek Carr was crying because they lost.
No, I know.
You're not going to see that in Trevor. You need to see that in Trevor.
No, you're never going to see that in Trevor. That's just who he is, and it's No, it's just frustrating because you're like, damn, that guy's so talented. And so
You saw him firsthand, so you're fully aware of it then.
Yeah, it was funny because yes, they won national championships with Deshaun and him, but they're two totally different what you're describing in that demeanor, because Deshaun's closer to that killer instinct type of person. Like they lost to Bama, close the year before they won it. Like he embodies that way more than Trevor. Whereas like once they went down against LSU, Trevor's last year, it's like we had never seen it before because they kicked everyone's ass.
Yeah,
so it's like
it was like when he lost, oh whatever, no big deal. But it's like that was kind of the first little small sign of like, yeah, the guy's doesn't have that killer in him.
Yeah, which is it's wild to say. It's like, you know what, you need to be shitty enough at quarterback to have some comebacks in your high school days. Like
I've been preaching that for Florida this year of like, look, all the adversity that they've gone through in the beginning of the year was very important for the growth of Billy and for the team and how they've ended the year. You need that to happen to you as a human, as a team, and as a person. So you are prepared for when you are down in a game, and so you're able to come back that much stronger. If you don't ever have that, it's when you finally do start getting it, you really don't know how to deal with it because you haven't been used to it.
I know, I agree. You have to have those remember whens. Remember when we were lost in this? Like those things are good, and we forget these 18-year-old kids. A lot of them, like that stuff works. That stuff motivates them. That's easy. That stuff works. It's necessary.
No, 100%. Well, Tim, dude, I mean, I've had a blast tonight, man. I would love to have you back on. I think this was a way more exciting than I anticipated. That's why I wanted to have you on. I've obviously seen your personality on your TikToks. I think you're an absolute hoot. Do you want go ahead and plug all your channels so people can kind of get the small doses of Tim when they can?
Yeah. No, and I loved being on. This was awesome. I could talk to you forever. I appreciate, just good college football talk with, we could have been screaming at each other, but I came in bearing gifts with my
you were prepared. I loved it.
Exactly. So I'm TCali12 on TikTok, TKALI12, TimmyCal12 on Twitter, T Kalinowski 12 on Instagram. My picture's always the little elf Hermie from the Christmas movies. So that's kind of what I look like. So yeah, no, I had a blast. I know I can talk someone's ear off for a while, and I know we went long. I know you want to answer more questions, but I just like shooting the shit.
No, dude, I loved every second of it. Like I said, I have going into these things when we have new people on. Like I don't know how they are. I'm an open book. Like I said, I'll chit chat you. I'll message you. Maybe we can get like a consistent thing going on here because I think people enjoyed it in the chat. I know I enjoyed it. I think you got a great mind for college football, and I think it's heating up here to where we can talk some more and grow this just from Parlay. So I really appreciate it, man.
I appreciate it too. Yeah, bowl season 2, we can unload that. That's always a fun one.
Yeah, absolutely. Hopefully next time my beard will be back, and maybe you'll have a stash. Maybe Mama will let it ride.
I think betting against that is a lock. I will not be.
It's a lock. I love it. Well, Tim, I appreciate it, man. The shirt's sick. Thanks for coming looking fresh. I appreciate it. Boys and girls, ladies and gents, make sure you guys there it is. Tune in tomorrow. We go live at 8:35. We'll see you guys there. See ya.